Dan Ullman, Mike Beer, taking a look at race number 7 at Churchill Downs on Kentucky Oaks Friday. It's the grade 2 Alysheba for older horses going a mile and a 16th. Let's take a peek at this field. And First Mission had always hinted at immense potential for trainer Brad Cox. It was kind of a shame that his 2023 campaign was relatively cut short after the Lexington. He did rebound with a good runner-up effort in the Clark at Churchill Downs. His Pegasus World Cup was disappointing, but he put it all together against weaker horses in the Essex, and it looks like he's found a good field again.
Yeah, I think they did find a good spot for him here. And it feels like, doesn't it, Dan, doesn't it kind of feel like even as well as he's run in some of these races, we haven't seen his best race yet. I mean, there's still the potential for better out of this horse. And if he improves in this spot, third off the layoff, he's going to be pretty tough.
He'll be facing the number 7, Tapit Trice, making his first start as a 4-year-old. This horse showed some ability last year, winning the Tampa Bay Derby in the Bluegrass, third in the Belmont and the Travers. At times, though, he was his own worst enemy, Mike.
Yeah, the potential's always been there for this horse. He was a handful last year. Let's just put it that way. Didn't get that many good trips, but you could tell he can run when things go his way.
Let's throw up our Timeform U.S. pace projector for this year's edition of the Alysheba. Pipeline, the number 9, is pretty quick. He's coming off of a confidence-building gate-to-wire score over a wet track in a second-level allowance race. Il Miracolo has shown the ability to stay close, but he is also versatile. I do think he will be close to the pace, as will Tumbarumba.
Yeah, as will First Mission, I think, Dan, drawn towards the inside here. He's not a slow horse. I think he can fall into the right trip here. Hard to argue with the 9 Pipeline not being on the early lead here, though, Dan. I mean, they got to use his speed in the spot.
Joe Sharp claimed the number 1 money supply for $35,000 at Saratoga last year. This horse went on a 5-race win streak, culminating with a score in the grade 3 Mineshaft 2 starts back. They tried the New Orleans Classic with him last time out, and all things considered, he ran okay. I thought the setup was there for him. It was a fast pace. But the winner of that race, listen, he's a sharp horse, Red Route 1, Mike, came back, ran 3rd in the Oaklawn with a 100 buyer speed figure. Give this horse some pace, he'll kick.
Yeah, I'm not going to knock this horse. We'll see. Feels like it maybe even a tougher race for him than the last 2, but ultimately he's turned out to be a really nice claim for Joe Sharp. Never really panned out for his original connections. They paid a lot of money for him. For whatever reason, it didn't happen. Joe Sharp's gotten this horse good.
Steel Sunshine is the number 2. He is super consistent. He's just been running bang-up races in his last 3 down at Gulfstream Park, including the Ghost Sapper last time out, a race that was kind of controlled up front. There wasn't a lot of pace. Steel Sunshine's the kind of horse that needs pace, but I think one of the big questions with Steel Sunshine is he the kind of horse that needs 1 turn?
Yeah, that is a major question. I feel like 1 turn or 2, this distance, the mile and 16th, is about as far as he wants to go. He might even want to go a little shorter than this. And the 2 turns is ultimately a question. I feel like he fits well in this race, Dan, and I feel like there's a chance that he has enough pace to run at too. Those things kind of make him a little interesting to me. I am worried about the distance for sure, but he's a little interesting here at what should be a pretty big price.
First Mission is the number 3. He really got on everyone's radar last spring when winning the Lexington. He might have been one of the favorites for the Preakness after that performance, but he missed the race due to a setback, and it basically cost him much of the rest of his season. Nice effort in this race, though. The Essex Handicap, his second start as a 4-year-old. He was favored, he was expected to win, and he won easy.
Yeah, he made an easy lead in this race and just was allowed to cut this pace really with nobody really challenging him in here. A long shot took a mild run at him, but that was it. He's too good for these horses. He finishes it off really well here. A nice bounce back performance too, because that's a tough race. That Pegasus World Cup, first off the layoff against that field, and then they throw that kind of a pace at you. That was a really fast one. I think Tahita's had too much going against him there.
I think the 4 Call Me Fast is a little bit of a sleeper coming into this race, Mike. His most recent start was sprinting, going 7/8 in the Commonwealth in his first start since the summer. It was a sprint race that didn't feature a lot of pace. He kind of clunked on for 4th over a track that seemed a bit speed friendly. I thought that was a good prep for him to stretch back out in distance. He has kept good company in his career, earning a couple of graded stakes placings, 1 at Churchill Downs, but this might be the toughest of the graded fields going 2 turns he's faced.
Yeah, it might be, but I'm with you. I think this horse is really interesting at a price. I'm with you. The last one's just a prep, a sprint race that, for whatever reason, didn't set up at all for this horse. He had no chance in there, but he still ran on. He ran some really interesting races last year. He didn't win any of the stakes races, but man, I guess maybe he's just not that easy a horse to ride in, because you can go back and watch several of those graded races. big early moves in those races, especially in that Blame Stakes here. Made the big early move, took over, blew out to a big lead, and just got tired. It just kind of felt like he moved too soon that day.
Il Miracolo, Tumba Rumba, Steel Sunshine. They've put on a really nice show over the winter at Gulfstream Park. Il Miracolo's the hot one coming in off this victory in the Ghost Sapper, going a mile and a 16th with the short stretch. Again, not a lot of pace in this race. Il Miracolo's down on the inside. It looks like Tumba Rumba's got his measure, but Il Miracolo really finds it a little bit more at the end and wanted to win this one.
Yeah, he fights back very gamely. That's Steel Sunshine, by the way, who's making up a ton of ground a little bit too. That he ran well in this race too. Listen, Il Miracolo totally won me over. Wasn't really on this horse as a 3-year-old. He just kept getting better every time they sent him out there. Really ended the 2023 campaign with some strong performances. He's probably even better now, Dan. I have no knocks on this horse.
Tumba Rumba won the Hooper by a nose, beat Steel Sunshine that day, got beat in the Gulfstream Mile by a nose, by Steel Sunshine, got beat a neck in the race we just saw, the Ghost Sapper by Il Miracolo. He was the beaten favorite that day. I couldn't find any excuses, Mike. I thought he had that race in the bag.
Yeah, I know I'm with you. I can't give him an excuse for that race. Listen, it's still not a poor performance. He ran fine in there and he was fighting it out right to the end. He just couldn't quite seal the deal. Same thing 2 starts back. He's in really good form right now, Dan. I just think it's kind of fair to wonder, does he have any kind of forward move in him here? It just seems like for the last, I don't know, 8, 9 months, he's been running the same race every time. And I doubt that race is going to be good enough in here.
Tapetrice, the number 7, 7-figure yearling by the Super Stallion Tapit, won 2 major Kentucky Derby prep races last year, ran okay, went 7th in the Kentucky Derby, but he misses the break sometimes. Sometimes he runs in spots in his races. He's very, very green. His last race, the Travers, he didn't break well in his first start with blinkers, and then he rushed up very wide going into the first turn, right into the teeth of the pace, and he was still in the thick of things when they turned for home in the Travers before running third behind some good ones in Arcangelo and Disarm. I like this effort from Tapetrice in the Travers. I trust Todd Pletcher, even off of lengthy layoffs. I just have a feeling this guy might be bigger and more emotionally mature now as a 4-year-old.
That's what you have to hope for with this horse, is that he's just going to finally put it all together. Because again, you know that the talent is in there. He just, in a lot of his races last year, he was just his own worst enemy so many times. And he's one of those horses, Dan. I mean, if you go back and watch that full Travers replay, you'll see, like, you watch around the first turn of the backstretch, you're like, what is Jose Ortiz doing here? Why is he rushing up on the outside? I think Tapetrice, he just has a way of making his riders look bad.
No, he will pull and pull and pull, and there's only so much you can hold. You just got to let this guy have his way. T.O. St. Denis is up next. This is a horse shipping in from Japan for the T.O. Password Connections, and just looking over his form, he has not been facing the top company in Japan. I wonder if he's here as sort of a companion for the Derby entrant T.O. Password, who supposedly outworked this horse on Tuesday morning.
Yeah, I don't see the race that gets me interested in him. Danny went 1 for 9 last year. He's a horse. He's not like he's running in top races over there, and he just seems like he's a couple low.
Pipeline is the number 9, and we know this guy's got a ton of early speed. Here's his most recent start. This was a second-level allowance race at Keeneland. It's an off-turf wet track race. He got loose, and this was a slow-paced race, Mike, where they ran 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way around.
Yeah, this race, I don't think this race necessarily means anything except that, listen, he came off of a little bit of a layoff back on dirt, and he, just won this race super easy, never faced a challenge in here. I don't know, Dan, he's one of the prices in here who I think is at least mildly interesting because he's got a race or two that would give him a real chance in this race. I just feel like you have to be aggressive with this horse. You got to send him to the lead, let him make the front in here, and then just let him roll and see what happens.
No, he earned a couple of big triple-digit Beyer speed figures. The problem was it was way back in 2022 at slightly shorter distances, but you've got to be aggressive. The last race at least shows that he's in good form. We'll see if he can last the mile and a 16th against some solid runners. And Trademark completes the field, and this horse loves life at Churchill Downs. A true horse for course. He has won 4 times here. He's won twice everywhere else. He won the Clark at a big price 2 starts back, beating First Mission, beating Il Miracolo, and I won't hold the Pegasus World Cup against him.
I won't either. That's true. It's a good point, though, that you bring up there, that he really does like this track. And so it's something to at least take into consideration. He's got a race or two that gives him a real chance in here. I just can't shake. I don't think 6 to 1's a great price on him, and I can't shake. I think about that Clark all the time. I don't think it's a great race overall. He won that day. He didn't run the best race in there. First Mission ran better than he did. Il Miracolo ran better than he did, but Trademark got the trip.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Grade 2 Alysheba. Big opportunity for these horses to really up their profile in the handicap division. First Mission is where we're going to go. He's got the recency edge over Tapit Trice, Mike. He's got excellent tactical speed. And Call Me Fast. I like where you went there with him going second because, again, that last race just looked like a nice prep.
Yeah, to me, he was the interesting sort of price horse to try to get in there somewhere. It feels like First Mission's really well spotted here, and I ultimately decided not to try to beat him. I think he is the horse to beat in this race. I'll try to get the 4 in there with him.
Mike's going 3, 4, 7, and 9. I'm going 3, 7, 6, and 2, expecting Tumbarumba maybe in a price to give his usual good performance. It's the Alysheba at Churchill Downs on Kentucky Oaks Friday. We'll see if these horses can make their mark later on in major Grade 1 races in the handicap division.